Some stories sound impossible, the kind you'd expect to be exaggerated or completely made up, but every detail you're about to hear actually happened. No embellishment, no dramatization, just events that unfolded exactly as they did, even when they stopped making sense. This is unhinged, but true. At first, it looked like an ordinary letter. No return address, no signature, just a folded piece of paper sitting quietly inside a mailbox in a small Ohio town. But by the time the person finished reading it, they were shaking, because the letter knew something it shouldn't have, and it wouldn't be the last one. Circleville, Ohio. In the mid-1970s, it was exactly the kind of place you'd expect nothing strange to happen. A quiet town, familiar faces, people who had known each other for decades, the kind of place where secrets didn't stay hidden for long, which made what happened next feel personal. The letters started arriving without warning, always anonymous, always blunt, and always aimed directly at someone's private life. They accused people of things they denied, affairs, lies, behavior that would ruin reputations in a town like Circleville. What unsettled people wasn't just the accusations, it was the details, dates, locations, specific routines, things only someone watching closely would know. One of the first people targeted was a woman named Mary. She lived an ordinary life, worked as a school bus driver, married, 2 kids. The letters accused her of having an affair with the school superintendent. They demanded she stop. They warned her that if she didn't, everyone would find out. Mary denied it, but the letters didn't stop. Soon others started receiving them too. Neighbors, public officials, even people who had nothing obvious in common. Some letters were typed, others handwritten. Some were crude, others eerily calm, but they all carried the same message. The writer was watching, which raised a new question. If the accusations were false, why did the writer seem so confident? And if they were true, how did the writer know so much? But the letters didn't stop. Then, one night, everything changed. Mary's husband, Ron, received a phone call. No one knows exactly what was said, only that when the call ended, Ron was furious. He told someone nearby that he was going to put an end to this. Then he got into his truck. He never made it home. Ron's truck was found off the road later that night. Inside was a gun. Ron had been shot. Authorities ruled it a suicide. But almost immediately, people began to notice things that didn't add up. Ron was right-handed, but the gun was found on his left side. And weeks earlier, Ron had told people something that suddenly felt important. If anything happened to him, it wouldn't be an accident. At the time, no one knew what to do with that statement. After Ron's death, the letters didn't slow down. They became bolder. Some mocked law enforcement. Others seemed almost amused by the chaos they were causing. One letter hinted that Ron's death wasn't the end of the story, which raised a terrifying possibility. What if the letters weren't just gossip? What if they were warnings? Investigators felt pressure to act. Eventually, their attention landed on one person, Mary's brother-in-law, a quiet man named Paul. He was intelligent, technically skilled, and according to investigators, his handwriting looked similar to the letters, but they had no fingerprints, no eyewitnesses, no confession, just suspicion. Then something happened that changed everything. Someone tampered with Mary's school bus. A gun had been rigged to fire when the door opened. It malfunctioned. Mary survived. Paul was arrested. At his trial, Paul insisted he was innocent. He said he didn't write the letters, that someone was framing him. But the jury didn't agree. He was convicted and sent to prison. For many people in Circleville, the mystery felt solved, until it wasn't. Because after Paul went to prison, the letters kept coming. New letters, same tone, same accusations. Some were sent to journalists, others to law enforcement. One letter pointed out something impossible to ignore. Paul couldn't have written them. He was incarcerated. No access to mail, no way to send them, unless someone else had been involved all along, which forced investigators to confront an uncomfortable truth. Either Paul was somehow writing letters from prison, or the real writer had never been caught and was still watching. Over the years, theories piled up. Some believed Paul was guilty and incredibly clever. Others believed someone close to the victims was responsible, someone who knew routines, relationships, weak points, someone who blended in perfectly. Every theory explained something and failed to explain something else. Modern technology has revisited the case, handwriting analysis, behavioral profiling. Nothing has provided a definitive answer. The letters stopped eventually, not because the mystery was solved, but because whoever was writing them chose to stop. And that may be the most unsettling part. The Circleville letters weren't exposed. They weren't defeated. They simply went quiet, which leaves one final question hanging over that small Ohio town. Did the writer disappear, or did they just stop writing once they'd said everything they wanted to say? Because if someone could know that much and stay hidden for that long, there's no guarantee they ever left.